about Affordance elements of online method learning platforms. We are from Seoul, South Korea, and our names are there. But I will talk about first the research motive of our study. Advances in digital technologies available to support learning are among the most dramatic developments, and one of them is online method learning programs and embedding artificial intelligence technique in the worldwide and also South Korea as well. And the development of online method learning platforms and its uses has become increasingly active, especially since COVID has come to us. So our motive of our research, we wondered on what basis are online method learning platforms expected to influence students' learning? Because we would expect that every platform would have certain goals that they wanted to produce at the end of or by using their platform. Especially our research focus, the platform has a certain learning outcomes, and more specifically in terms of speaking about research and learning platform, no matter what subject, we could segmentize the whole stage into 3 stages. Then as you see, the final product is a learning outcome you intended when thinking about developing it. And naturally, the way the users use the platform would impact the intended learning outcome. And if we think about the very starting point would be how the platform would be designed. So you put together all the elements you think would contribute to what you want to accomplish by using the platform, which is the design stage. So our study focuses on the design phase concerning what are some characteristics that have potential promoting learning outcome. And also we examine how these characteristics are reflected in some of the existing platforms. So as you see, our research focus is the very starting point of developing any type of learning platform, which is the design phase. So this is kind of a summary of what we just said. So in the phase of platform design, our study focused on 2 main questions, 1 and 2. So as you see, whereas the first inquiry was what's the idea, then the second question is what it looks like in reality. So how some of existing platforms would be designed to allow those elements to effect. There are so many elements and functionalities you would want to put in platform you would be thinking about. In our study, our perspective was affordance theory. So we chose affordance theory as our theoretical framework. Affordance theory, just to speak in short, the affordance theory was introduced by Gibson. So it wasn't the real new idea. Then the concept introduced by Gibson has been used in diverse fields in diverse ways. However, affordance does not determine specific behavior, but instead shape the potentials of channeling specific behavior towards action you want to accomplish after going through the platform or any kind of settings. So for our research, we reviewed a serious review of literature on affordance So this is just some of the recent literature in selection. So we conducted an in-depth review of studies using the concept of affordance in education. Researchers, well, these are just a selected group of researchers focusing on affordance theory, and they focused and or suggested different affordances as key ones, and there were ones that we found more appropriate, relevant, and critical to the context of our study. So one of them was the fourth one by National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. So they published to synthesize what they recommend by the book named by How People Learn Truth. So in sum, our study purports to explore the affordance of the math learning platforms and map out the analysis criteria after setting up the items considering the detailed elements of each affordance. So we scrutinized and analyzed 6 math learning platforms currently used in public education in Korea. So we explored their functions and examined how much the affordances were reflected in those platforms. Okay, so now I will talk about some preliminary results and implications. But this is the visual representations of the affordances that we thought would be critical to be thinking about when creating an educational platform based on a review of literature. So the set of affordances were classified into 3 categories. One is content, pedagogy, and functions. And total of 10 specific elements were generated. So 3 elements in content aspect, 3 elements in pedagogy aspect, and 4 more elements for functionality aspect. And 6 programs with a good level of completeness were selected for analysis in terms of how these key affordances for online math learning platforms would be reflected to effect. When the visual representation of the previous slide was the overview of the affordance elements that we used for analysis, and what you see in this slide and a few more slides afterwards are the detailed explanation of each affordance element. And just to, as a reminder, what these elements is what we personally argue to be good. So based on the literature, the review of literature, we selected what would be the most appropriate for analyzing online learning platform, especially for math programs. So non-linearity, a linked representation, which means various connections between different representations, and choice would that give students options for what to learn and how to learn, etc. And for pedagogy, which means a teaching method aspect, so interactivity, feedback, whether this platform gives feedback on the quality of students' performance, including how the quality could be improved and reward. This encourages students learning by providing some positive reinforcement, such as praise, bonus point, and etc. And the last aspect, the functionality, the collaboration and communication, which is working with others, like peer students and some experts and other teachers. So whether this platform has function where it provides opportunity to communicate with other people, and also how this platform would be easy to use. Okay, that would be one of the most significant things that to make the platform most effective. So whether it's convenient, intuitive, and visually useful, etc. Okay, what you see on this slide is preliminary analysis of coding results. And what's in the row, the first two columns, we show the domains of Affordance elements we created, which had 3 domains, and a total of 10 Affordance elements across the 3 domains. And A, B, C, D, E, F are the math learning programs we analyzed in terms of those 10 Affordance elements. Then we used a Likert scale 0 to 3 to show to the extent each Affordance element is reflected in those platforms. So as a result of coding, so among them, okay, let me show you the, okay, maybe this would be better seen. That this is the graph, the visualization representation of the coding result. So the maximum score was 4 for each domain, and or the line of different colors represent the math learning platforms. Then what you see, the vertical representation is the Affordance elements. So unfortunately, the maximum score for any of the elements was 3, and many of the aspects and elements were around 1 and mostly below 2. Okay, that means, well, in terms of speaking about those elements, we thought to be critical for learning platforms would be insufficiently reflected in some of the existing platforms. Okay, let's talk about some of the details. That among the 10 Affordance elements, the non-linearity from the content was an easy to use in functionality. That was greater than 2 points, and the other elements of content aspect, which is linked representation and choice, and all the elements in pedagogy domain were shown to be around 1 point range. The 1 point range is seriously inadequate in terms of our scale. And moreover, functionality of Affordance elements, except easy to use, it did not exceed 1 point. Another interesting, well, what actually disappointing was adaptivity. Adaptivity was the first one, listed as the first one in functionality domain, but adaptivity appeared to be very insufficiently reflected in math learning platform. But this result was somewhat below the expectation because adaptivity would be one of the parts to what online learning platforms are currently paying more attention. We wondered, and we were trying to find some explanation. And one explanation could be that most platforms, including those platforms we analyzed in our study, have been developed with a focus mainly on the learner's level. I think, okay, here, as a discussion. So I was just talking about adaptivity very low point, that was somewhat below our expectation or below than our hoping. Then I just said, well, what explanation? But this also basically our interpretation, because we didn't study on why things happen in the way it happens. But our explanation could be that these platforms were developed with a focus not necessarily on teachers' point of view, or mainly on the students' level. So if functions that are interested in learners' situation or performance level are developed, it might be a more effective, customized platforms. Because if we think about the advances in artificial intelligence technique, the adaptivity and also interactivity from the pedagogy aspect, that would be one of the distinguished points in online learning platforms, no matter what subject. But that was somewhat didn't meet our expectation or our predictions. That was somewhat disappointing. However, all the needs and rapid change in society and education field, these learning platforms and all many of the online things were rapidly developing in more recent days, and so it would be a lot more way to go in terms of what really want our students to make good use of our these learning platforms. However, we do not argue that this online platform, online setting would be superior to offline setting that could be coexisting. However, since we were utilizing online stuff and online setting a lot, well, one of the reasons was the COVID-19. So it would be better off if we really think hard about the learners level as well as teachers' use. Okay, these are some of the results I just talked about. All right, this is what we prepared for our presentation time. So any questions?